Oh, hey you guys, it's Charlene here from Nettlefield. I just wanted to say hi and I hope that you're all doing really well. We miss you so much. Friday nights definitely aren't the same without kids club and everybody going on the swings in the park and having a really good night. From all of our leaders, from all of our volunteers, all of our staff, we just want to say that we really miss you and that we love you, but keep safe and keep looking after yourselves until we're all together again. So right now you've just got me. And you will notice that I have pink hair. Anybody else done something to their hair they're going to regret when they come out of lockdown? Yup. But today I'm just going to share a little short message. It shouldn't take too long at all. And hopefully it will bring some kind of encouragement or inspiration to you while you're in lockdown. Like a lot of people, I've been doing a lot of baking while being in lockdown. And whenever you're baking a cake, you need to bring all of these separate ingredients together and make something amazing out of them all. But individually, no one would really want to eat a raw egg on its own, or a scoop of flour on its own, or even a load of butter on its own. But the thing that happens is that all of these things that are gross to eat on their own, whenever you put them together, are lovely. And that really reminds me of a Bible story about a man called Joseph. Joseph experienced a lot of really rubbish things in his life. All of these things individually were just really terrible. But the thing that we learned at the end of the story was that they all came together to do something good that not just benefited Joseph, but also benefited his entire family and even a whole country. Joseph had 11 brothers. Can you imagine that? I've only got one brother and he's so annoying. But can you imagine how hard it would be with 11? And because Joseph was one of the youngest, his dad spent more time with him than he did with his older brothers. And his older brothers began to get really jealous. And especially when they saw the special coat that their father had made for Joseph. They got so jealous they couldn't even think of a nice word to say to their younger brother. They were so jealous of their brother that they decided they needed to get rid of him. So they hatched a plot to throw him into a well. And then what happened was that they decided to sell him to people that were going to go to the country called Egypt. They said, why don't we sell him, and that way we don't ever have to see him again. Now Joseph has started out as a slave, but God was with him the entire time and helped him to do everything right. So Potiphar made him his helper and put him in charge of everything that he owned. The problem came when Potiphar's wife fancied Joseph and lied to her husband about the type of man Joseph was. And then he was thrown into jail. Oh, poor Joseph, right? At this point, he's been hated by his brothers, sold as a slave, thrown into a well. Everybody thinks he's dead, and now he's been accused of doing something that he definitely didn't do. But the thing was that God was still with Joseph, even when he was in jail. After a really long time of being in prison and feeling alone and forgotten, Joseph was called to the Pharaoh who was in charge of Egypt to interpret his dreams. And because God was with Joseph, he was able to understand what needed to be done to save the country. So Pharaoh put him in charge and he started saving all the food before a famine hit. People from all over came to Egypt to buy food because there wasn't enough in all of their countries. And some of the people who came were Joseph's brothers, the people who had sold him to be a slave at the very start. They bowed down to him because they thought he was a really important person. He knew who they were, but they didn't know who he was. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father alive? But his brothers couldn't answer him because they were afraid of what he would do. Then Joseph said to them, come here. I am your brother, the one you sold. Do not worry and do not be angry at yourselves for selling me because God has put me here to save people from starving. I think if you asked Joseph at the start of his story if it was worth it to go through all of these things, would he still do it? I think at the start of the story he would have said no. But by the end of the story, what he does say is all of these things that were meant to harm me have brought me to a place where I'm able to help and save other people. So it was worth it in the end. And I think for us at the minute, we are going through a lot of really challenging situations. We are experiencing a lot of fear and a lot of doubt and a lot of uncertainty. We don't know what's happening, and that can make us feel a little scared. But just like God was with Joseph when he went through all of his uncertainty, he's with us too. So just like in the start when we were talking about all of our ingredients coming together, individually, all of those things weren't great. Individually, no one would want an egg on its own, or no one would want a big spoonful of butter or something like that. But when all of those things came together, they were delicious and amazing and a wonderful cake. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll be able to look back and see where the good things have come out of this situation. Our communities are coming together even though we're apart. Our teachers are working so hard because they love you so much, and I hope that you really see that when this comes through. So there are good things, and if we're only looking for the scary things, we're only going to see the scary things. So what I'm telling you guys, my beautiful, wonderful friends at Nettlefield, is look up. Look for God. Look for the good in the darkness, and look for the joy at the end of this story. So I'm just going to pray for you now. Firstly, I just want to say bye because I love you guys. And just let me pray. So close your eyes, just take a wee minute to settle yourself. So Father, I thank you so much for every person who goes to Nettlefield. Thank you for their hearts, for their minds, for their souls. Lord, protect them and protect their family as we go through this time of difficulty and challenge. Lord, remind us when we forget that you're with us through no matter what we are going through. So Father, help us. Help us to see the good. Help us to see things to celebrate instead of all of the things to be afraid of. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye.